Hello everyone. This presentation will focus on the SETT framework and will showcase some tools that can help us evaluate online content for accessibility to ensure equitable access for students.
Hello, Dr. Saleem. I am back and ready to learn how to evaluate online tools and materials for accessibility.
Welcome back, Ms. Patel. I'm happy to see that you're still interested in this. Can you tell me what you remember from our last discussion on this topic?
Well, we talked about equitable access. We discussed how critical it is for teachers to know how to identify and select accessible online material to ensure digital learning for all.
Yes, that's correct. You were paying attention. And I mentioned how the ability to do that is actually part of the technological pedagogical knowledge domain of the TPAC model.
Yes, and now we are going to look at some tools that will help us to do that. I really want to get started with this. I want to make sure the resources I am sharing with my students do not become a barrier towards their learning.
I understand your concern, Ms. Patel. Before we look at some tools, though, let's quickly go over another framework called the SETT Framework that will help us to use these tools in a more efficient manner. After all, this is all part of the Swiss Army knife approach that I've been talking about that teachers need to practice in order to become critical consumers of technology.
The Swiss Army knife approach. What is that?
Oh, I'm sorry, you were not present in my Unit 1 presentation. The Swiss Army knife approach is the temperament, a habit of mind, a deep understanding of content and tools that comes with training and experience. It is a type of critical thinking that helps you to organize your thoughts so you can make informed decisions about technology integration. So far, we have covered the TAPE framework for repurposing of technology, the SAMR and RAT models to understand how technology impacts teaching and learning, and the TPAC model that helps us to identify the different knowledge domains teachers need to have for effective technology integration. There's one more model that we should cover, the SET model. It focuses on the integration of assistive technology for students with special needs.
We have covered so many models. Don't you think that is enough to have a critical perspective on technology integration? Why do we need to look at another model?
That's a good question, Ms. Patel. The models and frameworks we have looked at so far, they primarily focused on the general integration of technology. The SET framework focuses on the integration of assistive technology for students with special needs. You see, the integration of assistive technology is a bit more nuanced than the integration of technology in general. When we are leveraging technology in general, we are hoping to augment or transform traditional approaches to teaching and learning in the hopes that it would lead to a higher level of critical thinking, therefore, a better learning experience. However, when we are leveraging technology repurposed as assistive technology, we are hoping to augment or transform traditional approaches to teaching and learning, not just to augment and transform the traditional approaches, but actually uh, to enable our students to to the performance of tasks that are part of the daily living and learning, which then we would hope that would eventually lead to a higher level of critical thinking, therefore a better learning experience. The integration of assistive technology requires a team approach where all stakeholders are working together to build shared understandings that inform the effective integration of that technology in teaching and learning. The SET framework facilitates such a collaborative approach. And the framework is a tool, it's a thinking tool, a mind tool that helps teams gather and organize information that can be used to guide collaborative decisions about services that foster the educational success of students with disabilities. SET stands for Students, Environments, Tasks, and Tools. In order to develop an appropriate system of tools, teams must first develop a shared understanding of the student, the environments in which the student spends time, and the tasks required for the student to be able to do or learn to do to be an active participant in the teaching learning process. In order to uh, when the needs and the abilities and the interests of the student, the details of the environments and the specific tasks required of students in those environments are fully explored, teams are able to consider what needs to be included in a system of tools that is student-centered, environmentally useful, and task focused. And this ensures proper alignment of tools that fits with the student's needs, the environment, and the task being performed in it, and that leads to improved student performance. Now, since SET is a collaborative process that critically analyzes the interface between the student, his or her environment, and the task being performed with the available tools and resources, it hinges on the ability to ask good questions, questions that will guide and deepen discussion rather than be competitive and comprehensive in and of themselves. As each question is explored, it may lead to other questions. Thus, the team continues to explore until there is consensus, that there is enough shared knowledge to make informed decisions and reasonable decisions that are data driven. Let's take a quick look at some of the initial questions that guide this exploration in each aspect of the SET framework. When it comes to students, the question that is of paramount importance is what are the functional areas of concern? What does the student need to be able to do that is difficult or impossible to do independently at this time? This will include any special needs, current abilities, expectations, and concerns, and interests and preferences of the students. When it comes to the environment, there is so much more to the environment than just the fourth grade classroom or the seventh grade classroom. We need to ask how many students, what is the physical layout of the environment, how much support is available from and to staff, what materials and equipment are being used by other students, are there physical access issues, what are the attitudes and expectations of others in the environments. And then these questions need to be extended to outside the classroom, such as the cafeteria, the playground, the home environment, where the student may need to use the technology and so on. And then when it comes to tasks, tasks are the actual activities that take place that enable students to achieve educational goals and be active participants in the daily life surrounding them. So when it comes to tasks, we need to ask what specific tasks occur in the students' natural environments that enable progress towards mastery of IEP goals and objectives. What specific tasks are required for active involvement in identified environments related to communication, instruction, participation, productivity, environmental controls. When it comes to tools, the SET framework addresses the area where most people would like to begin. It addresses it at the end. The SET framework, it leads teams to the main question: what needs to be included when developing a system of assistive technology tools for a student with these needs and abilities doing these tasks in these environments? There are 7 critical elements of using the SET framework, and these are shared knowledge, collaboration, communication, multiple perspectives, pertinent information, flexibility and patience, and number 7, that SET is a set of ongoing processes. Now, the SET framework does not, I want to focus on this last one, ongoing processes. The SET framework does not end with the initial identification of assistive technology to be used. The initial decisions reached by the team are only valid for that time and context. As the student starts to use the assistive technology, it changes the environment, the tasks, and the student. So the team will need to continue to revisit the use of the AT by the student. And this brings us to the concept of set and reset. The team will continue to use the SET framework to assess the use of the AT by the student, and then we'll make adjustments along the way. And then the reset process will focus on what new learning do we expect to see for the student? What environmental changes do we have to make in order to support student change? How is the student's performance on specific tasks expected to change as a result of AT use? How can we monitor the effects the use of an AT tool has on a student's performance? And in this sense, the SET model continues to provide an evaluative framework for the use of AT by the student.
The SETT Framework, such a useful thinking tool. I see that I cannot really design accessible instructional materials on my own. It is a team effort. I wonder who came up with the framework.
Yes, Ms. Patel, you are correct. Teachers cannot really work in silos. They need to work in teams, teams that are comprised of other educators, parents, the student, and support personnel to come up with comprehensive solutions to address the special needs of students. The SET framework allows us to do just that. You asked about who came up with it. Actually, it was originally developed by Dr. Joy Zabala. Many of the ideas I've shared on the SET framework come from her website joyzabala.com that she maintains to provide information and supports related to the framework. So I really want to formally thank and recognize Dr. Zabala for her contributions to this presentation. So please do visit her website to learn more about the framework and to find worksheets that will guide us in using the SET framework.
I'll definitely do that. So now, are we going to take a look at some online tools that will help us to evaluate accessibility?
Yes, thanks for the reminder, Ms. Patel. There are many tools out there, but we will take a look at three of them: the VPAD, the Wave, and the Palm.